If you want a nice, quick and easy method of making a shaker style door, then this is the method for you. Hello everyone, welcome. Ryan here from the London Craftsman channel. How are you keeping? Today's video is all about making faux shaker style doors. Nice and quick and simple. We're going to be making it using a door blank or a blank of MDF, some strips, simple tools like a little pinner, some glue, roller. I'm also going to be making one through the video. So if that floats your boat, you want to find out more about these shaker style doors, well, you better stay tuned, watch to the end, and I hope you enjoy. So before I start, let's go over a few bits of information about these doors. I'm making them from a door blank of MDF at the moment, and I'm using 12mm. I've tried all the different sizes, but I quite like 12mm in thickness. By the time we add on our strips, which are 6mm in thickness, we end up with an 18mm door. So most hinges that you are most likely going to use is going to be a concealed hinge, like this one. Something along those lines. Then 18mm is probably going to be the maximum thickness that you can go for. Some brands of these hinges, such as Blum, will allow you to use a door thickness of around 25 or 26mm. I'm using GTVs. They're only going to allow me to have a door thickness of 18. But there is no harm in that. I actually quite like the thickness of an 18mm door. It's standard throughout the industry as far as I know, 18mm. There is no need to go any thicker really. So if you did want the door thickness to be bigger or up to 25mm, you could, for example, use an 18mm door blank with 6mm add-on strips. That will give you 24. But I quite like this method. We've been doing it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years this way. We've tried them all. We've tried 18 with 3, we've tried 15 and 6, we've tried them all. And we find that this is the perfect method because the doors are really lightweight, they stay nice and straight for us, and by the time you add on the strips, they give the door back its strength. So we're going for 12 and 6 today. We make these strips around 65mm width, okay? That's the width that we like. So when we add on all our strips together, it's a nice width of strip, okay? Like so. Any thicker, I think they look a little bit too chunky, so we stick with about 65. So it's relatively simple. You need to just make sure that your door blank is the size of the door that you want it to be, okay? So this one, for example, is 310 by 518, and that would be the actual size of the door. When it comes to doing your strips, you just need to make sure that if your door is up this way, then you want the stiles, which are the upright components, to run all the way through. This is how I do it anyway. And your rails, which are the pieces that go horizontally, to go in between. You can change the widths of these, okay? So we are doing 64mm in width for these panels. If you've got a bigger door, a wardrobe door, which is, for example, 600 by 2.4, and you want to add in more rails, feel free to do so. The bottom rail can get bigger, but in general, we go for 65mm roughly in width for these strips to give that look. We feel like anything bigger than that is too chunky. So to simply put these on and make sure they're nicely fixed, we're going to be using a PVA glue with a 23 gauge pinner. Okay, I'm going to be leaving links for these in the video description so you can buy the ones that I'm using. This is a fantastic little one from Amazon. So we're going to be using some PVA glue, and to spread the PVA glue, we're just simply going to use a little rag roller. Before I do stick these on, you need to make sure that we have taken the arises off. Okay, so let me put these back together. So we need to make sure we've taken the arises off of the inside top corner of all 4 components. Okay, so we've got a nice round over here. There we go. As you can see, we've just got a little round over there on that corner. And to do that, we use a 1.6mm radius cutter in a router. And here it is. We've just got a Katsu router, hand router, trimmer, whatever you want to call it, and a 1.6mm radius cutter. It's so tiny, but it's fantastic. And yeah, so just make sure you get all of those 4 corners trimmed up first. Also, where a stile is hitting a rail, the rail itself has got a square edge. So we need to make sure that's got a round over too. So any of the rails, the horizontal components, going from side to side, you need to make sure that these cuts have had the round over put on too. So the round over effectively will go on all 4 components here, and then on the 2 short edges and on the 2 short edges too. Once you've done that, we are good to put this door together. And what we're simply going to do first is pin on the long stile first to the edge of the door, making sure it's flush at the bottom or the top. You should have cut these nice and flush already, making sure they're the right size. Get that one on first. Okay, so making sure that the round over is facing in, we're going to then flip over our piece and glue piece up. And you can take your time on this. And once we've got the glue on, we just spread it with a rag roller. Simple. Just make sure that everything's covered, all right? Otherwise, you're going to get bits that might lift on you. So that's done. We're then going to flip it over and put it in place. Try and move it around, but there's going to be so much suction because you've used the roller to cover the whole piece. Put your goggles on. We are, like I said before, we're using a 23 gauge pinner. 2 on either end. So if you have got hinges going on these doors, or you know that something on the back is going to be there, just make sure that you do miss that area with the pinner. Otherwise, when you come to hinge, then you may hit the pin and just ruin your cutter. And the great thing about these pinners is that the holes are so tiny. You can barely see the pin holes, as opposed to the 18 gauge. We used to use 18 gauge, which are these, huge, and now obviously not this length, but this thickness, and now we have just gone down to these 23 gauge, so they're tiny. Okay, so now we have done that one. We want to round over these 2 short edges. Again, you can take your time on this, and then we are going to pin that on in the same method as we just pinned the other one, making sure it's flush with the bottom of the door. Now we're going to do the other rail. Arris in, and let's get that stuck. Let's get this last piece on. Don't worry about the noise, that's just the compressor. So much more quiet than the old Stanley one. The old Stanley one, let's see how that was noisy, wasn't it, Sean? That just was, you had to have your ear defenders on, otherwise you go deaf. Yeah, if you want to have a look at the compressor that I've actually got plugged in and using right now, there'll be a little link at the top. It really is a good compressor for not a lot of money, and I will advise for you to go and buy one if you are doing a lot of compressor work, or you don't want to annoy your neighbours or something like that. Okay, good to go on this one. Arris in again. Remember, we've taken all of these Arrises off the short edges of these 2 rails. We're going to simply get that in place. Give a little wiggle if we can. Get that glue firm down. Make sure it's in the right position and pin. So there we go. We are basically done. This is the bottom of the door, and that's how it would look. Okay. And yeah, the colours, don't worry about the colours. It's just different types of MDF. We had lying around for the offcuts, but once you paint that, that's absolutely fine. Remember, you can use any materials. You can use ply, birch ply, OSB, anything you like. We're using standard MDF, and we're going to be spraying this with an airless sprayer. Before you do, there is a couple more procedures that you need to do. If you are going to be doing this on a large scale, make sure before you start the job, because it's so important that you prime these edges first. if you are going to be painting, if you are going to be spraying, before you start making the door, it's going to make your painting job so much easier. One more thing that you're going to need to do is fill all of these holes, and we just simply use a ready mixed filler. Okay, any white ready mixed filler. Try and use fine fill if you can. You can use these, put it on your finger, squeeze it in, try and get off as much as you can before you let the filler go off, less sanding. One last stage is to get all these edges up right at the end. And it's not as hard as you think. There is a dedicated video on this also. I've got a couple of videos on how we prepare these edges. We spin the camera, we've got a stack there. So if you want to see us preparing edges and you're doing batches of doors, this is the procedure that you are going to want to do to get these edges up. It's absolutely fantastic way of preparing these edges, and it's going to save you so much time. So there you have it, a really simple and easy way of making shaker style doors. Yeah, they're not the traditional way where they're shaker both faces, but it's going to give you a nice solid door that's not going to twist or warp on you. And yeah, I think these are stronger than the traditional method because there's more meat on the door and you're using a thicker panel. If you want a nice, quick and easy method of making a shaker style door, then this is the method for you. If you have enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe, especially subscribe. We're growing quite fast at the moment. Our channel, we're at 36,000 subscribers. Other than that, guys, I would like to say thank you. Have a great Sunday. I'll see you next Sunday. Ciao for now.